Good morning, everybody. I'll kind of wait a second here, let people kind of join in on our presentation so I can see that people are coming in. So today we're going to talk about a topic that I know a ton of people have a lot of interest in is selling IT services to the federal government. It's kind of a mystery behind it, and everybody knows that the federal government buys tons of IT services annually, but there is kind of a unique way in which they do it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So first, a little bit about who we are. We're the Monterey Bay Apex Accelerator, formerly known as the PTAC. And so we're administered locally by the Monterey County Business Council. PTACs, now Apex Accelerator, has been funded through the Department of Defense since 1985. And there are 96 centers across the United States, 7 within the state of California. I'll show you a map in a second. You can kind of see where they're located at. And, you know, we may not be, depending on where you're logging in from, we may not be the Apex Accelerator for you, might be another one. But the mission of all Apex Accelerators is to promote economic growth and create employment opportunities in the local markets that they serve. And we do that by facilitating your access to the government marketplace. And although we're federally funded, that's access to the marketplace at a local, state, as well as the federal level. So here's the map I mentioned. So we're this teal area in the middle, Central Coast, Central Valley area in the state of California. If you're from one of these other colored areas, then you'll be represented by one of the other Apex Accelerators here in the state. Like I said, they're all just very professional, great people to work with. So basically all Apex Accelerators throughout, the country provide these services. First and foremost, it's just one-on-one counseling, and it takes form in basically pre-award assistance. We teach you how to go out and find the opportunities that are out there, help you understand the notices that you look at, because oftentimes it can be pretty confusing, help you again go through them, review them, help you develop what's called a capability statement, which is a marketing piece that, especially in the federal government sector, they like to see, and you're seeing the state government really adopting it as well as it's just a great way for you to present your company to anybody that you might potentially sell to. And then post-award assistance, conflicts will arise. We can kind of coach you on how to handle it, talk to you about what debriefs are and protest, whether it makes any sense to actually protest a contract or not. There's a certain process, and that's the big part of it. So outreach training events. So we're out and about in the Central Coast, Central Valley, attending various outreach and training events and telling people kind of like this, who we are, what we do, provide some type of training similar to what we're doing today. The webinars, will continue to be doing those. Bid matching is a service that Apex Accelerators provide some charge. We don't. Basically what it is we create a profile for you. We upload it into a system that a third-party vendor manages. They basically have a system that will go out and search literally thousands of websites where public agencies are posting their contract opportunities. Anything that is posted online that matches your profile then is just emailed to you, saves you from having to go and look at these various websites on your own. Navigating certain certification programs. There's a lot of certification programs out there. We help you understand what they can and cannot do for you, whether they really make sense for your business or not. Even though you might be, say, a woman-owned business, depending on the type of business you're in, it may be rare that you would ever see something that is actually set aside specifically for woman-owned small businesses. But there's others out there, the DBE, Service Disabled Veteran, 8A, HubZone, etc. So we're very knowledgeable on all of them and can provide you assistance. And again, understanding them, and more importantly, understanding kind of the criteria of whether you really qualify or not, and then understanding the supporting documents that are required to obtain these certifications. And the great thing is there's where your tax dollars at work, there's no fees or commitments to get services from us. Much like us, there's an excellent program out there, small business development centers. And I'm going to turn it over to Sharon Mikesell with the Cal Coastal SBDC to talk to you a little bit about the services they provide.
Great, thanks so much, Victor. As Victor mentioned, I'm Sharon Mikesell. I'm the program manager with the Cal Coastal Small Business Development Center. You may know us better as Cal Coastal SBDC. The SBDC network is actually made up of about 1,000 locations across the country. We are in the Central California network, and we provide small businesses in Monterey and San Benito counties no fee, one-on-one basic business consulting, training, and access to comprehensive information and resources that help businesses to start, grow, and succeed. And our services provide general business technical assistance that complements the Apex accelerators. We provide financial education, social media marketing tips, business plan guidance, and all of this helps the clients get started with government contracts of all sizes. And many of our clients start with those smaller contracts that include cities, counties, special districts, and some subcontracting opportunities. We provide our services for no fee for our clients, thanks to the support of the partners that include the Small Business Administration, the Governor's Office of the Small Business Advocate, the Monterey County Business Council, the City of Salinas, and the Monterey County Workforce Development Board. And of course, we can't forget our host and small business lender, Cal Coastal Rural Development Corporation. So if you're not already our client, please sign up if you're in Monterey and San Benito counties. That service will complement the Monterey Bay Apex accelerators. And click that little get started button on our website at calcoastalsbdc.com and it'll get started. Thanks for joining us today. And I'm going to throw it back over to Victor to start today's presentation.
Thank you, Sharon. Just take advantage of it. And oftentimes when we're talking to you kind of like on an intake meeting, we'll often say, hey, you know what, it'll make a lot of sense for you to kind of work with SBDC first or in conjunction with us so that you can have a better focus of, you know, where you want to go with your business. So take advantage of them. So here's our agenda for today. Again, we're going to talk about selling IT services to the government. So we're not talking about selling hardware to the government, but the services. And so we're going to talk a little bit about NAICS codes, some market research that I did in SAM.gov to kind of give you some insights on how much the government buys using individual contracts. And then GWACs. GWACs stands for government-wide acquisition contracts. And then I'm going to take you show you what's this GWAC sales dashboard, and you'll see what that is in a few minutes. Talk about industry partners, and then I think this is what really is going to be really important is marketing to industry partners, and then talk a little bit about an upcoming GWAC. So let's just jump into it. So NAICS code. So we're talking about IT services. These are the NAICS codes that apply to that, you know, 541, 511 through 5119. You can see what they are. And then as an example, though, I did put on here because the clients we serve predominantly are small businesses. So the small business size standards for these NAICS codes you can see are either 34 million for most of them and 37 million for computer facility management services, to kind of give you an idea of whether you're small or not. And I'm bringing this up because with these NAICS codes is what I did some market research on. So if you go into SAM.gov, where many of you maybe have already registered your company to do business with the federal government, you can actually go in there too and run some queries to see, you know, how many awards have been made to certain NAICS codes as an example. And so you can see in this 1 year period here for June 13th through June 2001 through 2002, You may think it's kind of like dated information, but I can tell you that this pattern that you're going to see here doesn't really change. So you can see that for that year, there were only 4 contracts given that were actually posted on SAM, and then people submitted offers through SAM. And those were one for facilities management, one for other computer related services. So when you look at woman-owned set-asides, you can see that there were actually no contracts during that 1-year period that were awarded by one exclusive contract through the SAM.gov system. And then when you look at what I call 8A set-asides, and typically an 8A is either a minority or woman-owned business that's part of a business development program the SBA has. There was actually only one contract that was unique that was awarded to an 8A firm that was an 8A set aside. So the pattern you can see here is that you're just not seeing a lot of contracts going directly to small businesses that are contracts that are posted in SAM.gov in the traditional way where companies are looking for opportunities. So if you think of other types of services, say like construction, on a regular basis, you'll see that the federal government, one of their agencies will post an opportunity and it'll basically say, you know, we're setting this contract aside, only small businesses can participate in submitting offers. And you'll see that, you know, there's a lot of opportunities like that. Likewise for women-owned, veteran-owned, etc. So, oh, speaking of veterans, here's the same thing, same pattern you see, only 2. So again, as far as going on SAM and looking for contract opportunities for the IT services, it's just not the way in which the federal government is procuring IT services. So how do they do it? So they're doing it through government-wide acquisition contracts, GWACs. And GWACs are managed through the General Services Administration. And you can see here where it says they're pre-competed multiple award, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract that agencies can use to buy total IT solutions more efficiently and economically. That's right off of their website. And so, and you can see here that continues, and it says GWACs provide access to best-in-class IT solutions, including systems design, software engineering, information assurance, and enterprise architecture solutions. So this is how the government agencies are buying their IT services. They're using GWACs. So with the GWACs, basically right now, there are 3 government-wide acquisition contracts. There's the 8A stars. So only 8A firms are in the 8A stars, I guess you could say, directory. I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about each one of these in a second. Then there's Alliant 2. Alliant is basically large companies. And then VETS 2 is for veteran-owned companies. And then industry partners. So industry partners is a term you'll see when you're looking at GWACs. And industry partners are the companies that basically have a GWAC contract. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. So to give you a sense, I don't know how well you can really see this, but the link at the top, I just checked that yesterday, is still active. And so one thing I'll mention too is just the fact that you'll receive a copy of this presentation. So don't waste your time trying to copy this URL address here. But what I want to point out is you can see that the period for this is began in fiscal year 2020, and they went to end of 2022. And again, I ran this in June of last year, so that was about half the year. But you can see the total spend was $11,313 million and change. And you can see over here on the far right, it says total task orders, 699. So basically, when the government wants to buy something from an approved GWAC holder, basically they issue what's called a task order. And so there were 699. If you look at more at this chart, this first one in 2022 is kind of hard to see, but you can see, let's look here at just 2022, is that you may not be able to see this, but the green part here represents the 8A contracts. The blue part is the Alliant contracts, which are the large IT companies. And then the gold part, or mustard, whatever color that is, represents the VETS 2 contracts. So you can see that the vast majority of the contracts are in this blue, which is the Alliant 2 companies. They're, the much larger ones. And then again, you can see on the right here, it's just the number of the actual task orders. Here are the dollar values on the left, on the right of the task orders. Further down on this, this is basically kind of like the same chart. But what I want to point out here, and again, when you go to this URL that you're seeing at the top of this, you can see all this information yourself. But you can see that the dollar value on the left here of what agency is spending the most money. So you can see here that, and it's no big huge surprise that, the Department of Army is $2 billion here, Department of Defense, another 1.7 billion, the Air Force, $1.8 billion. So you can see which agencies are spending the most amount of money. And also you can see, again, the number of contracts that they're awarding. On the right, what you see is the companies with the highest volume of sales. One thing too that you can see is that on the right here, you can see that this list goes down much further. So you can get a sense of, even who the companies are that are just getting some much smaller contract awards than some of these really large players. So I just kind of want to point that out. Same thing here. You can see that they're which agencies are making the most purchases, but you can scroll down and see more information there. So one thing I want to point out, because again, we want to sell your IT services to the federal government. One thing about these GWAC contracts is that for most of them, they'll put a notice in SAM.gov that the GWAC contracts are open, but once, and there'll be a period, but typically the way it works is there'll be a period where they'll accept proposals, they'll pick companies. Those companies then will have a 5-year contract with oftentimes like a 3-year extension. So they'll have like an 8-year contract with the government. So if you aren't selected to be a GWAC contractor during that period, the best way for you to sell to the federal government is you being a subcontractor to a GWAC holder. So again, the GWAC holders are referred to as industry partners. And so it's important to note is that this FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulation 19.702, is that contracts exceeding $750,000 require a subcontracting plan. So for any large business, those that exceed those, what I showed you in the beginning, like $34 million annual revenues, then have to submit a subcontracting plan that basically details, okay, these are the companies that I'm going to use to meet my subcontracting plan requirements. And they need to meet goals for 8A firm, woman-owned business, veteran-owned, hub zone, etc. So in their subcontracting plan, they have to submit what's the name of the company, which socioeconomic class, meaning again, whether it's veteran or 8A, etc. Describe what scope of work they will do, and then the estimated dollar value of that subcontract. If for some reason the company that they list in their proposal can't do the work, then they have to try to find another company within that same socioeconomic class to actually do the work. And again, this far here does not apply to small businesses. So when you look at 8A companies, all 8A companies are small businesses, so they don't have to submit a subcontracting plan. So this website is basically just to kind of takes you to where the portal is, and then I think we'll have time here in a few minutes where I'll actually able to take you to that website, and I'll be able to kind of make you a little bit more familiar with where some of this stuff is. But when you go to this website, you'll basically have links to the various GWACs that are there. I'm going to show you what they are here in a second. And then within each one, you'll be able to download a industry partner list. And it'll contain contact information of these GWAC holders. And I'll show you that also in a second. Upcoming GWACs, there is some notice. There was one that was upcoming last summer. And I'll talk a little bit about in a second, but it's kind of been put on hold. And then we'll talk about GWAC dashboards and just a little bit more. So this is one to GWAC. This is 8A stars 3. So all these GWAC holders are all 8A firms. So you can see your industry partners, 1,109. So that's how many 8A firms have a GWAC contract to sell IT services to the federal government. In the contract, the ceiling for the federal government is $50 billion. And that's over the course of the contract. And then ordering period, meaning that each industry partner, again, is in here for a 5-year base with 1 3-year option. This contract began in July 2021, so it'll be July 2029 when you go through the 5 years plus the 3-year option before it'll come up for renewal. So then the basic task order types. So there's going to be different kinds of work that is required by the government. So you might see a fixed price task order. We call it a contract, fixed time and materials contract, labor hour, a hybrid blend. Alliant 2. So Alliant 2 are the really large companies that are out there. So there's only 42 companies that are Alliant 2 partners. And all these Alliant 2 partners then have to have one of the small business participation plans in place for each task order. So it's not like they have one plan for the entire contract, but with each task order they need they go after, they need to submit that subcontracting plan. This one, you can see the period of performance, July 18th to this summer with 1 5-year option. So till June 30th, 2028. This one is worldwide coverage. So again, the US government actually has facilities all over the world, military base and stuff like that. So this would apply anywhere in the world that the government operates. And then all contract types like we saw before, fixed price, cost reimbursement, labor, materials, etc. So vets first is only for service disabled veteran owned businesses. And currently there's only 63 businesses that have a GWAC contract that are, service disabled veteran owned businesses. The ceiling on this one is much smaller, 5 billion. And you can see here that the ordering period is going to run through February 22nd, 2028. And I guess that on this one, you don't see the contract types, but it'll be the same thing. Fixed price, time and material, those types of things. So that's to understand. So this one, Polaris, the government wants to create a new GWAC. This was posted last year where there was an open period. So this one was designed that for 4 unique set aside pools, like it states: small business, woman-owned small business, hub-zone business, and it would also include service disabled veteran-owned small business, even though there was the other vets too. This one has come under protest. So even though they went through the process of posting this opportunity on SAM.gov, it's at the Court of Federal Claims. So who knows how long it'll take before it'll be resolved. I put here this GWAC community of interest because it's basically a bulletin board where you can post information there about what do you know about what's going on about this opportunity. I may be thinking about teaming with somebody, those types of things. So you may want to take a look at that just to kind of see. When I was looking at it yesterday, most of the comments on it were based upon if anybody heard any feedback under what's happening with this protest, and nobody seemed to really know. But this was the notice in SAM from last year where they were actually looking for people to submit proposals to these RFPs for these GWACs. So you can see that they kind of had separate ones. This one was for small business. This one was for woman-owned small business, etc. The good thing, I guess, about it is, and I don't know for sure, is once this protest is resolved, I don't know if basically what they'll do is recompete all these GWACs. My hope is that it would be so that you that are in on this webinar would be able to then submit an offer and not have to wait like 8 years to obtain a GWAC. You can see like this one, the offers were due last September. So now that maybe you have a much better understanding of GWACs and kind of how they work, then the important thing is for you is that you as an IT business, you want to then sell your services to companies that actually are these industry partners that have these contracts. So what you want to do is basically understand and identify your core competencies so that you can have a value proposition that you can take to another company that is looking for a subcontractor. The IT world is so complex that very few companies have everything in-house for all the needs that, say, either industry or the government needs. And so it's not uncommon that, they do 60% of it, but 40% they have to sub out to someone else that has some special skill sets that they don't have in-house. Think strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. So when you're wanting to market yourself to other companies so that they want to look at doing business with you as a subcontractor, be able to think about and articulate, what are your strengths? understand what your weaknesses are so that you can address that, or if it even comes up, but also, looking at what opportunities or asking about what opportunities maybe your industry partners are seeing coming down the road. And then, understanding what the threats are in the marketplace for your industry. And capability statement, way in the very beginning, when I mentioned to you about the basic services that all Apex accelerators provide, is the capability statement. So you'd like to be able to put together a capability statement that really focuses on, say, the need of one of the industry partners. Again, you may have something unique that you can strengthen their offers, etc. So you may want to be able to put that. What you might want to do is ideally set up a meeting with an industry partner, talk to them, understand where they might have some gaps that they'd like to fill. And then if you can fill those gaps, go back and tweak your capability statement to kind of match what you've learned in that initial meeting with them, so that your capability statement really stands out from anybody else. Per that, it's like your research industry partners for synergy. So again, the synergy of you with somebody else makes it like a stronger proposal, stronger offer to the government client. And of course, what you want to do is contact potential industry partners. You can't wait for them to reach out to you. You need to be reaching out to them and find out where they're out there networking and those types of things, asking your colleagues in your industry about who they know, etc. Again, when you're talking to them, it's about inquiring about any needs that they have. So again, I've said it a few times, there's something that they don't know how to do, but they would love to have somebody they know that they can count on that can provide that, because that would make their offers to the government even stronger. And so with that, you're developing, keep that mindset of a win-win relationship. You're not going to be the prime, but you can make a significant amount of money being a subcontractor to somebody else. So that's what you want to do. All these things here, the synergies and the needs, SWOT, core competencies, value proposition, that's all about developing that win-win relationship. I mentioned this industry events because that's one of the things that, like I just mentioned, is, you need to find out who's out there and what are they good at, etc. I found this website, I don't know, a couple of years ago, but it's called Gov Events. And what Gov Events does basically is event promoters. There's just literally thousands of conferences that happen throughout the United States or world, for that matter, all the time. And that's oftentimes a great place for you to go network, meet people, be able to, again, talk about who you are, what you do, etc. This is just an example of one event. If you go to the website, govevents.com, you can see that there are literally, thousands of events, and you can filter it to the, your specific industry, etc. But like this one here is an event that focuses on the IT world. You can see it says artificial intelligence, cloud, cybersecurity, zero trust, data strategy, data management, enterprise architecture, records management. It's in Washington, D.C. in September of this year. But, if you're not attending events like this, you need to be, because that's where you're going to learn more about your industry and, again, meet potential teaming partners. So we got some time here. So let me switch off here. I'll go live and I'll kind of show you couple things. So I think, do you see that, Sharon or Rhonda?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So So this is you can see here that, like up here at the top, if you go here, government-wide acquisition contracts, that's kind of the homepage for GWACs. Underneath that, then you see, various, of the GWACs that are there, the 8A stars, the Vet 2, etc. I just picked this one, the Alliant 2. And then within Alliant 2, what I want to point out here is how you kind of get to seeing who the industry partners are and their contracts. So I went, again, first to GWAC, Alliant 2, industry partners. And now here you can see that it says learn more about and contact our Alliant 2 contract holders. Now, one thing I'll add, when you look at this website, a lot of the stuff you'll see as you read through it is geared more to the government buyer wanting to identify a potential supplier of IT services to them. But for you as an IT service provider, it's good for you to know who are the contract holders so that you can market yourself to them. So if you click on this, it opens up a Excel spreadsheet that I'll show you. So this is the Excel spreadsheet for the Alliant 2 holders. So you can see here that these are really big names, you know, SAIC, Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, Booz Allen, IBM. But what you can see here is that, I don't know if I can move it over, but they have like a website that you can go to, and there's contact info, there's more information, but there's contact information so that you can actually contact somebody who is like the representative that deals with the GWACs that they have, and introduce yourself to their business, and, you know, talk to them about ideally setting up a business, an appointment with somebody there that you can talk to them about your expertise, etc. This one just happens to be the Alliant 2. These are the really large companies, so you may have better luck by looking at some of the say the smaller companies, like say this 8A stars. So here's 8A stars. And same thing, if you go down here, you can see here's their industry partner list. And if you open that up, again, it's an Excel spreadsheet. And with the 8A stars one, again, when you go in there, you'll see like names of individuals and their email addresses and phone numbers. So again, so you can start contact them. Again, 8A stars are smaller companies, so they're more than likely the ones that might not have like all the talent in-house the way some of these really large Alliant GWAC holders have. So this may be the better approach, is to approach some of the 8A star firms to say, hey, this is who we are, this is our expertise. Is that something that you could leverage so that you can be more competitive in the government marketplace, etc. With that, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Oops. I go, yeah. All right. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. So, some of the websites here, I just dropped these in here, and some of these website, these web addresses were scattered in the previous slides, but I put them all here. And again, I checked these yesterday, so all these URLs are active and working. It's not uncommon when you do a have websites for the, like, especially for the government, that they just change without noticing, so it doesn't work 6 months later from, but it's there somewhere typically, but these all do work. So again, I'm going to be sending this out to everybody, so you'll have them, so you don't have to worry about writing them down. So here's some takeaways from everything we've covered is, be patient. I mean, this is still going to be you having to make cold calls to companies that you don't know. You're going to have to go out and, network, and start meeting people. So with that, it's, be patient. Just know that, it's a journey, that you're certain things that you're going to need to do, but it may take a while before you start seeing the fruits of your labor, but I mean, it'll happen. Do your marketing intelligence. So, go and look at these industry partners. And again, a lot of this stuff too, we can kind of show you how you can go and say, look at an industry partner, and then be able to go use some online systems that are out there, that there's public information, so you can see really like the 8A stars. There's over 1,000 companies in there, but there's a way where you can actually go and see, okay, who's really getting a lot of the contracts. Because one thing I can say too is that a GWAC, as they mentioned earlier, is an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract, meaning that a company might get a contract, but doesn't necessarily mean that they're guaranteed ever that they'll ever get a sale. So there's a way where you can actually go and look to see, okay, who actually is generating sales, and that dashboard actually will show you that as well. Makes it kind of easy for you to see that. Sell your value proposition, not your socioeconomic status. So we preach that all the time, that it's great that you happen to be, certified as a woman-owned business, a veteran, or an 8A firm, but people really want to know is, what's your value proposition? Why should I pick you over somebody else? What is it that you're really good at, that, your past customers have utilized you over somebody else? That's what you want to be selling. Network. Like I said, that's just got to be something that you're constantly doing. If you're kind of an IT person and you're really good with the technology, but kind of more of an introvert, you might want to think about bringing someone on board that is actually really good at the networking, so that you can build relationships, which is the next bullet point. Again, think about the win-win scenario that I talked about earlier, because that's what will make it happen. And then finally, here is like I said, today you're the sub, tomorrow you're the prime. So again, you saw that these GWAC contracts basically are long-term. They're 8-year contracts. So one thing is that, especially if you're kind of new to the government marketplace, if you're working as a sub, a lot of the paperwork and the things like that, the invoicing that goes with it, if you're a sub, sometimes it kind of exposes you to that, so that you become more familiar with it, so that when finally you become a prime, you already know, how to do it. So, but think about that again. You can make a ton of money being a subcontractor, with the goal eventually you're a GWAC holder, and then you're the prime, and you've already established relationships with, as a sub, oftentimes with the government buyers. So with that, I'm going to open it up for questions, but these are our next webinars. Is actually understanding IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts. So that's, again, as I mentioned, GWACs, that's what they are. And I'll talk to you a little bit more in detail about what they are. And then introduction to the SBIR STTR program. So a lot of people hear about, the government has free money for me to start my business, grant money. Most cases that's not true, but it is true under the SBIR STTR program. But there's still some nuances in that. It's really important for you to understand before you think that it's really easy to, grant money through that program. So with that, I'll take any questions somebody might have. You can just drop them in the chat or the Q&A. So somebody asked a while ago, are small business not bidding, or are they not winning the contracts in spite of bidding? I think Renali's question was basically at the very beginning when I was showing those 4 slides of the set asides for small business, woman-owned, 8A, and veteran-owned business. And then you saw that there were very few contracts that were awarded. And that was, again, because those were contracting opportunities that were posted on SAM that were outside of using this GWAC. So you can see that through, again, the 8A program, and those 1,000+ 8A firms, is that I'm fairly certain that there's quite a few companies that actually, you saw that in the chart, that they were definitely getting a lot of contracts. So they're bidding them. And again, it could be that one thing that they maybe have done is, even with the GWACs, is that again, they maybe had a certain expertise, but passed on contracts rather than bringing in subcontractors with some other skill sets that would have made them more competitive with more opportunities. I'm surprised nobody's got any more questions, but if you do, just reach out to us. Here's our phone number, our web address. If you're not registered with us as a client, go to our website here and sign up. And again, information like this, we can have one-on-one conversations with you, walk you through some of these websites so that you can have a better understanding. Like I said, there's ways in which you can identify which companies are selling to the government and what kind of dollar values you're talking about, etc. So that's important to know. So with that, I'm not seeing any more questions. And so we'll let you go, and then hopefully we'll see you in 2 weeks for understanding IDIQs. Thank you very much for joining us.